You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. How we doing? How we doing? Indiana Fever, man, that's a racehorse that's running in full stride. They dropped the Chicago Sky on Barbie night, Angel Reese Barbie night against the Chicago Sky, and they dropped them right off a cliff. They won the ball game 81-31. It was easy work tonight. Caitlinclark dropped 31 points. Kelsey Mitchell dropped 23, and Lexi Hall hit the board tonight with 11, and they just played great basketball. Kind of got off to a slow start, as I anticipated. The Chicago Sky would come out with a lot of energy and a lot of fever, but then after that, they kind of hit the wall, and they were no longer the same. And when you get into that funk, it just happens. Let's take a look at the box score, see what it tells us tonight. As we know, Caitlinclark, here's the deal, gets better and better every night she takes the court. We're going to go 31 points tonight in 32 minutes, 8 of 14 shooting, 5 of 9 from the three-point line, 10 11 from the actual free throw line, and guess what? Dropped 12 assists. Went out there and got 4 rebounds on the defensive end, and my, it's getting better and better. Got a steal up in there, didn't get a block tonight, and had 3 turnovers. And folks, that's not a mistake, okay? That's 3 turnovers, and that there was a plus 23 as she hit the books. Kelsey Mitchell, 29 minutes, 9 of 13. My, they got a 3-headed monster, folks. I was telling you that. You got Clark, Mitchell, and Hall added to the group. Okay, and you got Mitchell, went 3 of 5 from the three-point, 2 of 3 from the free throw line. Got a rebound, got an assist, was on fire, too hot to cool off, and really took care of the basketball. 2 turnovers, plus 21. You can't get any better than that. Then you go to the next, the final, the third guard there. You got Lexi Hall. She shot it well, 3 for 6, 3 of 4 from the three-point line. That confidence, temperatures rising with Lexi Hall. We got 4 rebounds, and, you got to get in there. Hall was battling, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, plus 14. Doesn't get any better than that. The Indiana Fever controlled the game all the way throughout the night. This game wasn't even close. I think they pulled their starters somewhere about 5 or 6 minutes left in the ball game. The ball game was basically over. I kind of knew that's how the pace would go. Chicago would come out with extreme fire. They would play really good. Shot the ball the best they ever done it. They shot the lights out tonight, Chicago Sky. You got to commend them for that, but they were no match. I got to tell you early, the Indiana Fever is going to get to the defensive spots and push them around. Chicago Sky they just don't have the IQ to play at that level of basketball. They started off the game just giving up a couple easy, chippy backcourts. And that was surprising because they just never got into the rhythm of the game. They were doing fine when they were coming out and they were in the lead. But once it got to balance, and again, I knew the Indiana Fever, the way they play defense and the rotations now, they just didn't give up anything on the inside. They made it extremely tough. And it was a tough night across the board for the Chicago Sky because they were feeling like they were in a ball game they just weren't in, and let's take a look at it. Okay, what happened out there? Unaware, she shot at 28 minutes, 8 of 13, had a lot of confidence tonight. 2 of 4 from the 3, 2 of 3, got 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 20 points, came out a plus 2. So she actually, she played it well. Reese 32 minutes, 4 of 9, 0-1 from the three-point line, 2 of 5 in the 3 throws, got in there for 2 offensive rebounds, 9 defensive rebounds, total of 11. It came up with 2 assists and 1 steal and actually finished with 10 points. Was a -7 on the night. Cardosa couldn't get it going. Just never got it started. 34 minutes, got in there, 1 of 4. This is the sad part about when you get to Cardosa. She took 4 shots tonight, got 4 free throws, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, was a -21. I mean, that's a big number to put in front of Cardosa. It never came together. Folks, I can tell you this, with the Indiana Fever, and you got Christy Sides. Okay, and when you look at Christy Sides and what Christy Sides has got going, I'll be up in front, and I'll be honest with you, Christy Sides has figured it out, and she's got her horses are running. And when you get to the coaches, you got to look at this correct way because they're the horse traders, and Christy Sides is kind of taking the whip. We took the whip away from Christy Sides. You no longer have to beat the horse, Caitlinclark, and you got to criticize or do anything like that. Just let it flow. The players, here's the difference that I see with the Indiana Fever now. The players, not the coach, the players have taken ownership of what happens on that court. Okay. They understand what they're doing on the offensive end. They understand what they're doing on the defensive ends. They understand their rotations. They understand continuity. They work in both sides. They're not getting it on one side and trying the other. They're getting you deep in the shot clock. So they understand the Fever are basically coaching themselves, which makes Christy Side's job super easy. Now, let's go across the board and let's talk about what do we see. We got Witherspoon. Man, it's a tough night for Witherspoon. I'm going to cover that in a second. And, what you got with Witherspoon, they're just outclassed. I mean, Witherspoon's got B-level players. Some of the players she's got playing guard for her right now probably won't be in the league. And Money Mike's prediction, as I told you right when I got into this, is that you're going to have half the players in the WNBA today. They're not going to be in the league. The league is transitioning itself right in front of our eyes. Here's one of the things I do notice. The guard play in the WNBA, you're going to move into 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet, 6'1". Okay, so the day of the little guards now, those days are going, and they're going quickly, and you're going to see that fade out because they can't enter the ball into the post. They can't get to where they are. The Chicago Sky really struggled. And you talk about Witherspoon, I mean, she struggled out, doesn't have the personnel. I mean, you don't have the personnel, and when you don't have the personnel, folks, I'll tell you something, it gets harder and harder and harder. You look at the Shields, she's a minus 21. You look at Evans, she's a minus 21. They got nobody they can go through on the bench. You got Jefferson came out of minus 12. This gets embarrassing here, folks. This gets embarrassing. They got Gallon efforts out of Unaware and Bantam. I mean, Bantam shot it pretty good tonight. Decent 5 for 15, 4 and 10 from the three-point. But it all turned in that they could not compete on the court with the Indiana Fever. They just couldn't compete on the court with the Indiana Fever. And here's the deal. They got 72 shots, 40%. Came in there, they got 36% from three. And the shooting tells the story. I mean, they're not a good shooting team, 66% from the free throw line. So it kind of tells the story. I mean, they jumped in there, they got 42 rebounds. I mean, they even out-rebounded the Sky, but they didn't pay any defense because the Sky, they shot 48% from the field, 44% coming in there from the three-point line, 78, 79, 80% from the three-point line. And when you look at it, what is the difference in the game? You got here, the Chicago Sky's got 9 steals, 5 blocks, okay? Came out with a team total of 11 turnovers. 11 turnovers, okay? So when you get that in there and you get it in the collective box, that was the story of the ballgame. The Sky are outclassed, okay? They're outclassed. If you look at, you're going to run a horse in the Preakness of the Derby, you got to be a certain class of horse to get in the race. Now, what's happened, the Indiana Fever have been climbing this tier, climbing the tier. They moved up to the top tier of the WNBA. Whether you want to admit it or not, whether you want to call Caitlinclark the MVP, she's the MVP hands down. It's going to get easier and easier. And the thing I'm trying to tell you is it's not about the Rookie of the Year. That really doesn't matter. And here was the most embarrassing moment I saw tonight. And I don't think this is Coach Witherspoon's agenda, but I feel for her, is to have Angel Reese in the game garbage time to get a double-double. We'll talk about that later, but that's an embarrassment because if Indiana Fevers are pulling their starters and you're going all the way down to a minute left in the game to try to score points to get a double-double, that's an embarrassment to the organization. But it's not Witherspoon's call. I know that for a fact. It's not Witherspoon's call. That's coming from the top. But we'll get back to that later. I'm just here to tell you that the Indiana Fever are not the Indiana Fever anymore. You got 2 good players that are having too much fun. And when you get these guys out there and they're having too much fun, let me tell you what happens. It gets kind of comical. It gets kind of funny. And things just happen the way they're supposed to happen when they're not even supposed to happen. And that's what you got going on with the Indiana Fever. They're having fun.
And I think more than anything, we are just starting to understand each other much better. We could just make eye contact and she knows to go back door. She knows to come and get the ball. That just comes with playing with one another. So it's been a lot of fun for me. I mean, she's playing so well right now, just as good as anybody in this league. So I feel very lucky and fortunate to have her by my side.
And that's what I'm talking about there, folks. That's exactly what I'm talking about right there. Is you got two great players sitting here. And this is the deal. They're not going to leave. Kelsey Mitchell's not going to leave the Indiana Fever. Okay, she's getting to know Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell's getting to know Clark. Caitlin's telling her now we don't even have to look at each other. We could just kind of give signals. We know where to go. We know where we're going to be. And Caitlin's doing a great job of just distributing that ball, keeping everybody happy. Because when you get a team that everybody starts playing well, everybody wants to eat. But it's a different story. And this is huge, huge business for the Indiana Fever.
Coming in hot. Wow. Opening the door. I mean, I feel like we're confident, but that's any team in this league when you're able to stack some wins. Like, that's everything, right? And I think coming out of the break, we start with 2 big wins at home versus Phoenix and Seattle. And then we go on the road and we drop one. But then we knew Atlanta was a huge game for us, and I thought we played really well there. So I'm just proud of our group. I think we're really just approaching it day by day, even though, these games are so important. We're not really looking that far down the stretch of what's at the end of September, what's in the middle of September. It's what's in front of us today, and just approaching it like that. And that's how you build your confidence. It's just one day at a time. But I think our confidence is, at an all-time high where it's been this all season.
That's what Caitlinclark is saying right there. And we're going to come back to that in a second, but I'm going to tell you what she means. We're beating them flat. We're beating them flat out. They can't stop us, okay? They can't deal with our defense. They can't deal with our transition offense. You heard the announcers talking about it tonight, that they get the ball out there gone in a heartbeat, and nobody's seen this, okay? This one got so bad, okay, that they had to pull the starters, okay? The referees, the officiating, I am always going to be non-critical, but critical. The WNBA officials got to get some consistency, and they got to do that fast. There's a gentleman I worked with over the summer. His name's Tom Drakeford. He put a lot of guys, Drakeford, Delvar Sports in Delaware, put a lot of guys in the WNBA. Boy, they need to get some consistency. And you got coaches going to the podiums now, and they're talking about they don't want to get fined. Tonight was a very, very interesting officials game. Okay, the Indiana Fever Bigs got just torched tonight by the officials. Okay, Boston normally calm. Boston getting the technical. I mean, you got Nia Smith with fouls. I think they gave us enough fouls for the Chicago Sky players running into our spots, as we're already there on the defensive side. This one got away, but we're not going to spoil it with officials. We're going to keep the party going, because I got to tell you, folks, this press conference was really hilarious, as the ladies just kind of spoke about themselves.
You guys have had the best offensive rating in the league since mid-June. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you guys envisioned, was possible? Or, during that losing streak at the beginning of the season, maybe not, but just to reach that height, to be able to say, you guys are the hottest offense right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think that people fail to realize that basketball is something that takes time. You don't just come in and you get it right off the bat. I don't know what people expect. I'm not going to hop in their brain and figure out what they expect, but this stuff takes time. And I think that to see good basketball and see it manifest into what you see now, it took time. And, you got to give yourself some grace. That's why I always tell our team, give yourself some flowers right now, because we could have been a lot worse. And to see where we are now, I think the sky's the limit for us. And I think our offense and what you see and our fierce competitiveness is just kind of in our DNA. And we want it to kind of stay like that. We want to do the right thing the right time, all the time, not just sometimes, but we want to do it right all the time. And that's what you're seeing.
And that's what you're seeing out of the Indiana Fever, folks. They're taking it to another level. They're taking it to a level that nobody's seen before in the WNBA. Okay, you got players now who are actually getting it done, but they're getting it done on both ends of the floor. That's the difference you got from the Indiana Fever. The Indiana Fever players have now committed to play both ends of the floor. Okay, they're going to play on the offensive end, and they're going to hustle back and play on the defensive end, and they're going to give 100% effort each and every time. And that's expanded for them. And let me tell you how much that's expanded for them, because you got a player, man, I tell you what, This player here is just something that you just don't get a chance to see all the time, but she is unstoppable. Okay, unstoppable. I'm talking about Timmy Fagbenie is unstoppable, fearless on the court, and is really destroying opponents on the court. Let me get you to what I'm talking about, and let me tell you how it works and how it caps out. Benny played 18 minutes, 1 for 6 from the field, 0 from 1 from the three-point line, 1 of 1 at the free throw line, pulled down 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, 2 blocks, and was a plus 29. You get a player that can come in the game for 18 minutes and swing it by 29 points, that player has done their job, and you can't get any better than that. Okay? That's what she's doing for the Indiana Fever. The Indiana Fever players are no longer playing as individuals. They play as a unit. It's difficult to beat a team as a unit because they're sacrificing their individual accomplishments for the sake of the team. But when you do it that way, here's how champion teams get developed. You sacrifice the individual accomplishments, but then the individual accomplishments get greater. You start going out doing things that you don't normally do because it becomes natural. It's not something you have to work at. The Indiana Fever were able to call a timeout and literally enjoy the laughter, enjoy the fact as being a team. As Kelsey Mitchell is putting this to us, and she's letting us know that we've got something special. She talked about it manifested. She talked about we're under grace. The only thing she left out is all things are possible to those who believe. This is Kelsey Mitchell. And she's really letting us know what's going on with the Indiana Fever.
Is that you pointing up to the scoreboard?
I think it was a fan. I was just having fun with the fan. Nothing to do with Camilla. I love Camilla. Camilla's awesome. But yeah, I mean, I just launched one for fun. It was kind of a bomb. It was a good air ball. Had to get a good air ball in there.
You guys pray for me.
That's the Indiana Fever. That's the Indiana Fever right there, folks. And guess who's coming next? Introducing the WNBA Coach of the Year. This is Christy Sides. And we're going to let her kind of take the podium and tell us what she saw tonight. This is getting good, folks.
Her shooting and everything else that she was doing. How pleased are you with how her game is progressing?
Yeah, I mean, she did an excellent job taking care of the ball. She did an excellent job late in the game when if we didn't have the advantage in transition, she was pulling the ball out. That's just the growth. That's things we weren't doing earlier, and now she's recognizing those things. She's making some play calls. You know, we try to get her to, understand like what our advantages will be with certain play calls for certain teams. And so she made some of those calls during the game, and which is great calls, ended up with buckets a lot of times.
So let me break that down for you. So Christy Sides, because she's not quite able to understand or share what it was. Let me tell you what Caitlinclark did tonight. Caitlinclark went out there and the Indiana Fever took the lead. Okay, in past games, what has happened is, Caitlin, they kept playing and they lose the lead. This time, the Indiana Fever tempoed out the game. We're already up by 20 points. We're up by 15. We're getting to 20, 25 points. We don't have to rush to shoot. We can take our time. We can execute our offense. And, folks, I'll tell you, there's nothing better than you get a team out there that's getting beat. Okay, just hear me out. You're getting somebody that you're just beating them down to the pulp, okay, and now you're asking them to play defense. They're done. They're cooked. And that's what happened tonight, okay? Caitlin tempoed out that game and made sure, even though we could have rushed the shot, let's take our time. Let's get good shots. Let's stay within our offense. Let's execute out that way. And what do you end up when you do that? You get 100 points. So Christy Sides is getting used to a point guard. As I said, the players have taken ownership out on the floor. That is a fact, and Christy Sides is getting used to that. But that's what's going on in the Indiana Fever.
our team ended up with only 11 turnovers tonight, and that is huge for us, but it was only for 5 points off those turnovers. So a huge stat for us.
Christy, what's got this team just loose? There is talked about joy Wednesday night after that win. We see it in pregame. We're just seeing it here in the postgame. It just seems to be all throughout this group right now.
Yeah. That was kind of my pregame speech. You got this young team, and they are just, they like to have a good time, and there's a fine line and there's a balance. And I just wasn't sure if their head was ready tonight. So we had a good talk right before the game. They're so talented. And I think the more we just keep it as light as possible, but focused on what we have to do each night to get to be successful, as long as they stay light and they keep buying into what we're doing, it's just made for a fun environment. The joy is out there in the game. It's after the game. It's on the bench. I don't know if you guys see our bench. It's incredible.
It's going down in Indiana. That's the way it go down on championship teams, folks. That's how champions come together. Okay, they get a little dissension. They find out who's who. They find out who the real ballers are. And it just so happened that Indiana Fever got about 10, 12 ballers out there. Okay, they got some ballers. I'm telling you, this whole game change plan, let me tell you when it really turned up when Lexi Hole moved into the starting lineup. I'm going to tell you, Christy Sides is not talking about it, but Lexi Hole took them to another level that they can battle with the next tier. Now you got it where the players, are finding out how good each and every one of them really is. Now, when they get good and you're winning, the Christy Sides is not really being a coach. She's being a chaperone now because the girls get goofy. You got to keep them in the game. They're winning by so much, you got to keep them in practice because they're going to be like, come on, Christy, let's go shopping. Let's go do something exciting, right? But Christy Sides has still got to coach them up. But this is something new. And you got to, and the biggest difference is the team has taken ownership. She no longer has to go out and tell the team what to do. They got veterans. They get it. They watch film. They come out of film and get better. They don't come out of film and get worse. When you get teams start talking about a lot of film, and you keep, we're going to get better and better, that's horrible. You're so deep in the season, anybody speaking like that is really embarrassing themselves. However, tonight, I'll give it to the Indiana Fever. They played good basketball, but they played against B-class players. Okay, you got a couple rookies out there, but the rest, those are B-class. Okay, those the players the Chicago Sky got, they'll be lucky if they're in the league next year. And I told you, half of the league is not even going to be here because they got a whole new crop of players that are coming in. But the Indiana Fever, they did what they had to do when they had to do it. Now, at the end of the day, did it work itself out? You know what? As long as you have, Caitlinclark, Indiana Fever, Caitlin became the best WNBA rookie here nor there. It's MVP of the league. Being the rookie of the year doesn't mean as much to me as it means to others. I think Caitlinclark, 100%, is really going to be the rookie of the year. You got Timmy. That Timmy, man, I'm telling you, that one there, that one there is going to get a league some problems because she is strong, and now she had a behind-the-back pass. And then you got Mitchell, And Mitchell's Mitchell, but Mitchell's finally having fun playing basketball. And I'm going to tell you this, folks, what happens when you get on a team and you're winning and you get everything going, you start getting the perks. These are perks that you're going to find that other teams in the WNBA don't get. You start getting a little better meals. You start getting on planes that are a little bit nicer. You start staying in hotels that are a little bit nicer. And all of a sudden, you realize and you communicate with other players in the league and you find out, you know what, we don't get that. I don't think Kelsey Mitchell's going anywhere. I think she's found a home. Been there since 2018. Why not finish it out? They're going to get deep in the playoffs and play for the real money, so it's going to be one of those type of deals. But nevertheless, I think she's a person that has faith, and she stands by it. I think she's doing a good job playing basketball. You know what? You look at it, you just got to face it. Tonight it was what it was. Indiana Fever opened up. They were down quite a bit in the first, but they closed out at 26-23. Took it over in the second, 24-16, and so that expanded about to 47. to 42. So they still had action in the game, but they busted open wide in the third. 31-22, and settled in on the fourth. They took the starters. It may have been 5 minutes or so out of the game. And they went ahead and took it down. And that's what you got now with the Indiana Fever. The expectation of winning is there. Lexi Hole has moved them to the next level. Timmy's back. And guess what? The Indiana Fever temperature is rising. I think they're knocking on the door for sixth place now. And it is what it is. But at the end of the day, they're going to meet up with somebody. They're going to jockey position and who they want to play. But they're going to have to play this out, and who knows? But they'll play whoever it is, and it's going to be a good experience. You got Caitlinclark leading the charge. 31 points tonight is the MVP of the WNBA. There's no doubt about it. Chrissy Sides being chaperone now of a good team. It's going to be WNBA Coach of the Year. It's a patience test, and everybody's coming together. And Nia Smith got out there, got on the board tonight. Dantas played well. I mean, you just got an assortment of players just coming out of the woodworks. And Donna shoots it well. I mean, let's be honest. She shoots it well, squares it up, knocks down shots. So where are the Fever going to end up? We don't know, but we do know one thing. They're ready to compete in the WNBA. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We are powered up by Fanatics. Indiana Fever took down the Chicago Sky, beat them up 100-81. Could have been worse. But all things are possible to those who believe. We promise to get better and better so that you can go higher and higher. And we're going to make sure each and every day is the best day. We'll see you soon.